December the 19th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Meteorologist Matthew East here with you. Good bit to talk about again this morning. Let's get right into it, beginning with a look at the Greensboro Tower camera. As we start the day, we have drizzle, clouds, some light rain out there, and we'll take a look at a couple other web cameras across the state. Kill Devil Hills on the left, the Avalon Pier web camera, Beach Mountain Parkway cam, courtesy of resortcams.com on the right. Temperature below freezing atop Beach Mountain at 26:45 at Kill Devil Hills. And finally, let's look down in Charlotte this morning. Again, drizzly conditions out there, temperatures dropping with northeasterly winds in place, down to 41 now in Charlotte, and that gradual decrease in the temperatures is going to continue here as we move forward. What a interesting type of high temperature day yesterday across the country. I mean, just look at that temperature contrast along the advancing cold front. 74 in Jackson, Mississippi for a high, 35 in Memphis. You had some wintry precipitation in northern Mississippi, even down into central Mississippi, into parts of north and central Alabama for a period of time yesterday. Pretty insignificant, but interesting nonetheless. Some spots in the lower Mississippi Valley went from thunderstorms to wintry precip in just a matter of a handful of hours. And look at the warm air we had in place ahead of that front in the Carolinas yesterday. In fact, a lot of the Triad viewing area topping 70. Same deal in the Charlotte viewing area yesterday. Look at those highs. It is going to be a much colder day today, no doubt about that. All right, so let's take a peek here. Your temperatures cooling down. Northeasterly wind in place, bringing in colder air now. Just look at this brutally cold Arctic air mass off to the north. It's 5 in Burlington, Vermont, as I cut the video. 6 in Detroit. How about 0 in Indianapolis? 8 below 0 in Chicago. 7 below in Milwaukee. 1 below in International Falls. 0 in Kansas City. 2 in Des Moines. That is brutal stuff, especially in December. You can get these very impressive shots of cold air that become a little bit more likely as you get into January. But boy, this is cold air. Now, in terms of precipitation, there's your rain falling early this morning. Again, to cut this video during the 5 a.m. hour. Most of the rain in North Carolina within, I don't know, 70 miles or so of, at least in measurable rain, within 70 miles or so of Interstate 95. But you have this drizzle and this mist on the backside of this front back toward the I-85 corridor. And as temperatures drop, could see a little bit of light freezing rain. Now I'll show you this just to show you that the Futurecast modeling is indicating that chance for a little freezing rain. I think, at least in the Triad area, it'll be freezing rain in name only, with ground temperatures much warmer than what we had ahead of our little freezing rain deal Friday night. There's a little better chance for a minor glazing on some elevated surfaces near and north and east of Raleigh, up toward Rocky Mountain, Halifax, but again, even there, warm ground conditions should limit this from being a big problem. Notice the winds today out of the northeast, just as a for instance, in the Triad area, we're talking wind chill values for most spots through most of the day, only in the 20s. So it is going to be a much, much colder day than what we had yesterday. So any light precipitation draws to a close as we get toward this evening, some clearing overnight, and it will be much colder tonight. Look at these lows tonight. Well down into the 20s. Now tomorrow we're back to a lot of sunshine across a lot of the region. Once you get away from coastal North and South Carolina, a lot of Piedmont and foothill sunshine. There's your highs tomorrow afternoon. Wednesday, much the same, looking pretty good around the region and a little milder, up to the 50s. Now, let's talk about some longer range ideas here. Let me get into some of the more detailed modeling. First of all, we'll start off with today. This is the European chart, 500 millibars for today, and it brings another system through here, pretty weak one Thursday. And over the weekend, this little piece of energy on the European, that model tries to print out a little bit of Christmas Eve rain. And then finally, we get another big cold front through here by Tuesday or so of next week. Now, let me focus on today real quick. This is the NAM computer model, and actually is the model that lingers the light precipitation around here the longest. This is all the way out to this evening, late this evening, and it still has some precipitation around. I think that's probably a little bit overdone. And then that's early tomorrow morning. But again, here's that ice accumulation potential. This is from the folks at the WPC. And so you're looking at probabilities, upwards of 40-50% to get a trace amount of ice, some glazing of ice in a couple of elevated spots. Your highest probabilities, again, in the central parts of North Carolina, anywhere from, say, Randolph County over toward Raleigh and Durham up toward Rocky Mount. But this should not be a big deal. All right. let me see. Sorry about that. Let's get right into some of the more detailed modeling here. This is the GFS modeling, and there's your little bit of ice potential. We move out in time. This is this evening as the precipitation pulls away. Tomorrow, we're in good shape. There's Wednesday, no problems. Thursday, GFS is dry. Friday, same deal. Christmas Eve, the GFS is dry. Excuse me, and there's Christmas Day on the GFS. Clouds around, but keeping things dry. Now, the European model, let's see, here we go. There's the little bit of light rain I mentioned for Christmas Eve. And then here comes the next big cold front finally getting here on Tuesday. Some colder air behind it. Now let me speak real quick about some longer term ideas, and just a snapshot here from the European model out at Wednesday the 28th. There's a lot of talk about just absolute tremendous blowtorch warmth in some areas by the end of the month, and I do think the month overall, by the end of the month rather, the last week or so into early January, probably will average a little above normal, but you keep seeing where the modeling earlier had these huge southeast ridges showing up. You keep seeing cold fronts want to come through, and so I think you might sort of the last week of the month sort of be looking at more like a near to a little bit above average temperature regime, with occasional cold fronts knocking us down to around average or slightly below, and then between the cold fronts getting above average. But I don't see an extended long-term period of way above average temperatures, at least until early January. Talk more about January ideas as we go forward in time. All right, that is it for the latest edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.